CBS News investigating what critics refer to as the troubled teen industry. Census data shows more than 5 million children ages 12 to 17 had a diagnosed mental or behavioral health condition even in 2023. But what happens when those conditions get so severe that the families feel they have to send their children away in order for them to get this critical help? That's a big question in our country, and our national consumer correspondent Ash-Har Quraishi takes a deeper look at what the critics call the troubled teen industry. A warning for you before we show you this story: this segment may include some discussion of suicidal ideation and other severe mental health concerns.
I have not slept through the night in 3 years.
There's positives that need to be shown.
Two young adults and two very different experiences with residential treatment. Each year, tens of thousands of kids like Taylor and Luca are sent to programs that promise to help to improve their mental health.
But what happens when that child returns with more trauma than when they went into treatment? Are families getting the help they expected? How can anyone tell which programs actually work and who's footing the bill? What would your message be to families who say this kind of treatment is just completely unaffordable?
Well, it is very expensive, and I don't have a good solution for that.
Our reporting found millions of dollars flowing from public school districts to alternative programs, including private facilities. So how can parents and taxpayers know what's really happening when a child alleges abuse?
It's almost like subconsciously you are taught to dismiss these things.
And you did that.
Yes.
And thinking back on it now, how does that make you feel?
Horrible.
But you couldn't have known.
I feel like I should have. I should have.
All right, we appreciate that investigation, and let's talk to Usher, who drove this investigation. Such important reporting. Give us an idea, my friend, of the scale here. How many children go to these programs in the United States every year?
That's a really good question, Reed, and it really just comes down to what you classify as residential treatment, but it's believed that tens of thousands of children are sent to programs like this in about hundreds of these treatment centers across the country every year, Reed.
So, a lot of people may have first heard about this industry, as it's been called, by an unlikely source. Of course, we all saw Paris Hilton. She flew to my home state of Utah, testified to the Utah legislature about her experience going into one of these facilities. She became a massive advocate for reform after going there. But we also have to remember she's a Hilton. She has that big mega million dollar name and family behind her. They were able to send her to one of these programs. But give us a picture of the families who don't have that kind of money to send to the programs, and what's the impact on their wallets and on their families because of that?
Right. It's extremely expensive. And if you think about it, as a parent, what is too much to try and get your child the help that they need when it's, related to mental health, when you get to the point where you've tried therapy, you've tried counseling, you've done everything you can. And this is really not a first step. This is the last resort, a residential treatment facility or program. That's when parents have done everything that they can, and this is the last thing that they're going to try. And it's very expensive. Now, we found in our investigation that, millions of dollars are spent on these treatment programs through school districts across the country. And even though that there's some subsidies and there are ways to offset that cost, a lot of families really have to dig deep into their savings. In the case of one of the families we spoke to, they wiped out practically their savings and their retirement accounts in the hundreds of thousands of dollars for just 2 years of treatment, Reed.
Right. They love their kids, and they would do anything they could to save their kids. So what do the families you spoke with share about their experience within that residential treatment?
Right. So it's important to note that this is not a monolith, right? There are good programs, there are good facilities, but there's a lot that needs to be done in terms of regulation and oversight. And, one of the families we spoke to said that the program they sent their son to saved his life, literally. But another mom we spoke to said that, they thought that they were going to get the treatment they were hoping for, but in the end, they didn't. They actually had to file a lawsuit for the abuse and that they say that that their daughter had experienced at one of these facilities. And, that was one of the most heartbreaking things to hear in that clip, from the mom, Rochelle Kiesel, talking about her daughter, Taylor, and how the experience left Taylor even more traumatized than when she went in, and the guilt that she felt as a mother who was trying to help her child with these issues, sending her to a place that they now believe traumatized her even further, Reed.
I heard the same thing from the Hilton family relative to those feelings about these facilities. Usher, our hope is that our kids grow up well, and we appreciate reporting like this. It's so important. Thank you so much, my friend. Good to see you. Take care.
Good to see you.
By the way, you can watch the full CBS News Investigations documentary on YouTube and find more information and resources, right? That's so important. CBSnews.com/residential treatment.